Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, People Don't Understand the Meaning of Half the Words They Use. When I'm online or just observing conversations, whether it's a podcast, a YouTube video, or even just people chatting around me, I'm paying close attention to what people are saying and especially how they say it. I notice people use certain words and phrases that they don't really understand. Maybe it's a loaded term or just a buzzword they picked up online, but they often throw it out without a second thought. If you were to stop and ask them what the word actually means, a lot of times they'd struggle to give you a clear definition, or they'd end up saying something completely different from what the word actually means. Now, that might not seem like a big deal if it's just harmless chit-chat, but it gets frustrating when people are using serious, charged words, especially when they're labels that carry a lot of weight, like calling someone racist or sexist or homophobic. These aren't just random insults. They're heavy words with real social consequences, and they often imply accusations that are difficult to shake. When people misuse words like these, it's more than just a language slip-up. It can really impact someone's reputation and even their life. The power of words can't be underestimated, especially in today's world where labels can stick to someone forever, thanks to social media and the internet. Take the word racist, for example. I've seen it tossed around so much that sometimes it feels like it's lost its meaning. It's as if racist has become a catch-all term for anyone who says something that rubs someone the wrong way, even if what they're saying doesn't involve any kind of discrimination or prejudice. But when you stop and ask someone what they mean by racist, often they can't really define it in a way that fits the situation they're trying to describe. It's frustrating, because at its core, racism is a very specific and serious thing. It's about prejudice and discrimination based on race, often reinforced by systemic inequalities. But lately, it seems like some people use the word simply as a way to shut down conversations or to dismiss someone's opinion entirely. They'll label someone a racist if they disagree with them, rather than engaging with what the person is actually saying. This kind of misuse doesn't just dilute the meaning of the word racist, it makes it dangerous. Think about it. If someone gets labeled a racist, that's not something they can easily shake off. Especially if the accusation is public, like on social media, that label can follow them around for years. They could lose friends, job opportunities, or even face harassment, all because someone threw out a word they didn't fully understand. And if you have a platform, a significant following, or some influence, using words irresponsibly can have massive consequences. One misunderstood or misused word could lead to a flood of negativity directed at someone who may not even deserve it. This isn't just about racist either. Words like genocide get tossed around in casual conversations, especially with all the global conflicts we hear about today. But genocide has a specific, weighty definition. It's the intentional, mass killing of a group of people with the aim of wiping them out entirely. Yet, I've heard people call any kind of violence against a certain group genocide, even if it doesn't fit that definition. For example, someone once told me that if a single person is killed because of their ethnicity, it's genocide. But that's not what the term means, and saying it actually minimizes the horror of real genocides. When we misuse words like this, we risk watering down their impact. And that can make it harder for people to recognize and respond to real, large-scale injustices. And this isn't just about these major, intense terms. Even words like love get thrown around so casually that they start to lose their meaning. People say, I love you, or I love this so often and in so many contexts that sometimes I wonder if they're just filling space. Love is a deep emotion. It should mean something when you say it. But when people toss it around like it's nothing, the word feels more and more empty. It's as if we're chipping away at our ability to connect genuinely with one another. If we keep using these powerful words without thinking, they lose the meaning that makes them special. Now, I get that calling people out for this kind of thing isn't always welcome. If you ask someone what they mean when they use a certain word, they might get defensive. They might say you're being picky or accuse you of making a big deal out of nothing. But I think it's worth having these conversations, especially when people are using words that can damage someone else's reputation. And honestly, if someone lashes out when you ask them what they mean, it's often a sign that they don't feel confident in their own understanding. If they truly knew the meaning of the word, they could explain it calmly without getting upset. I've noticed that when people get defensive, it's often because they're not as sure of their position as they want to seem. And that defensiveness can be telling. If you're having a conversation with someone and they can't even define the words they're using, then that conversation probably isn't going to go anywhere productive. I've learned that when someone is unwilling or unable to discuss their language openly, it's usually best to just end the conversation. There's no point in continuing if they're not willing to engage honestly. The way people use words like racist, sexist, or transphobic has become, in some cases, a quick way to dismiss someone they don't agree with. Instead of having a real discussion, they slap on a label that shuts down any further conversation. It's like these words have become weapons, rather than genuine descriptions of behavior or beliefs. And the problem is, the more these words get thrown around inaccurately, the more they lose their power. When someone calls a person racist just because they disagree with them, it's like we're eroding the word's true meaning, and that's unfair to people who actually experience real discrimination. Misusing these terms hurts everyone, because it means we're losing the language we need to talk about real issues. So I'd say, if you're about to label someone with a term like racist or sexist, or if you hear someone else doing it, it's worth taking a moment to really think about the word. Ask yourself if it genuinely applies, or if you're just reaching for it out of frustration, or because it's an easy way to shut down the conversation. And if you're using the word to lash out or to score a point, maybe it's worth reconsidering. Words have power, and with that power comes responsibility. We're not just talking for the sake of it. Our words can impact others deeply, and in a world where everything can go viral in an instant, we owe it to ourselves and others to choose our words carefully. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moors October Rants. Signing out, have a good one, guys. Goodbye.